good morning again. This is just a brief update on the Ogre Kingdom's Army project. So as you can see here, the work on the Ironguts is coming along. Pretty happy with how these guys are turning out. Very much like doing the ogres, the standard ogres. Main difference being lots of armor. So in this case, rusty, battered, really well used armor and weapons. And the rusting effects that I'm using here are much like the rusting effects that I detailed in the scrap launcher video. So I'll see if I can remember to include a link to that video here if you are interested in finding out more about how I do that. These did not get the airbrush flesh this time. My original thinking on that was that because they were going to be more armored, that it might make sense. Well, armored and their positioning, so a lot of these guys have their hands close to their chest, which was going to make getting the airbrush in there a little difficult, so I opted to just go ahead and do brush for everything. I don't know if that was necessarily, I'm not going to say it was a bad decision. I think I could have gotten away with using the airbrush anyway, but sometimes the problem with using the airbrush is that airbrush and brush don't always mix well, so if you have to go in and do touch-up, you end up having to touch up the whole thing anyway, unless you're able to do touch-up with the airbrush. So probably just as well that I just did the brush for the whole thing. Now another difference that I did with these versus the standard ogres was on their belly plates. I did a patina brass as opposed to rusty metal. And my patina brass is, I start with a mix of shining gold and dark flesh, which is around here somewhere. There it is. Which is a combination that I have learned to love since working on the Dreadfleet project. And you can do some interesting combinations with just these two colors that create a range of effects. So anyway, so a mixture of dark flesh and shining gold for a base, then a more shining gold than dark flesh highlight, and then what you end up with looks very just gold. But the interesting thing is once you put on the patina, and in this case I used P3 Troll Blood base, which tends to be my go-to color for brass patina, that adds enough of sort of a green tone to the gold that it ends up looking more like brass than like gold, which is really nice, which is exactly what I was looking for. And it really sort of desaturates the gold color, and you end up with something that is very, very much like brass. So great, that's exactly what I wanted. What else? What else to talk about on these guys? Haven't done the tattoos yet, but my plan is to do a tattoo tutorial. Because, you know, I feel like it's something that I was never good at doing designs, like hand drawing designs, and I think I've come up with a method that really works for me. And if any of you are feeling like, oh, I just can't do that, let me tell you, that's how I always felt, and now I don't feel that way anymore. So yeah, so look forward to that. Something else I really liked is the stone on these hammers. I think came out really well, and this is another case of that Dreadfleet project sort of teaching me a lot about paints that I don't use or didn't use very often. And in this case, we were talking Deneb stone, which I never really found a use for prior to the Dreadfleet project. And now I'm finding that it has lots of uses, and in this case it makes a fantastic stone hammer for this. So that is That's the Deneb stone with a Devlin mud wash, and what you end up with looks like stone. I mean, it's really fantastic. I'm very, very happy with how that turned out. And I think also the rust effects with some metal showing through, where the metal gets beaten on and hammered on, works really well with these weapons. Other things to look forward to are the butchers, which just have a base coat of dark flesh on them right now. I have two butchers that I'm going to be working on, and that's actually the final bit for this part of the armor. I actually have two other pieces for this army in the queue, but since they came in later than some of the other projects that came in, they're going to have to wait until those other projects are done. So for now, it's going to be these, the butchers, and then moving on to another Dreadfleet project. So that's where we are today, and thanks for watching, and I will talk to you again later.